Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join this session on the future of BFSI through automation and AI. I am Mark. I'm part of the Gupshup Africa team. The way consumers want to interact with businesses has changed drastically. That is where WhatsApp conversations come into the picture. They enable delivering rich, interactive, two-way conversational experiences, leveraging the most widely used messaging channel, WhatsApp. Globally, across industries are choosing to interact over WhatsApp with their customers across customer journey touchpoints. Today, we will be hearing from our BFSI industry experts, Ravi Shankar, head of BFSI CX Gupshup, and Shashi Bhushan, head of business development Africa Gupshup, on what makes WhatsApp business messaging so popular and how fintechs in emerging markets like Africa can leverage this easy and convenient solution for better customer engagement. Thanks a lot to both of you for joining this time and joining the session. We will be conversing about how conversational messaging on WhatsApp is providing engaging conversations, followed by some successful, easy-to-implement use cases that are working well for fintechs across the globe, followed by a fireside chat, and then we'll open up to some Q&A. Over to you, Ravi.
Thank you, Mark, and great to meet you again, Shashi. Shall we proceed to the next slide, please? All right, Mark introduced Gupshup to you. We are a global company. We operate in many countries across the world, and we deal with customer engagement at a very interesting scale of about 10 billion messages a month. Right? And we cover over 45,000 enterprises. More importantly, in the BFSI side, we do a few hundred banks, finance companies, insurance companies, all scales and sizes. And most interestingly, the best bank in the world and the 7th biggest bank in the world are our clients, right? So our mission and vision are driven largely to make great customer experiences and deliver superior ROI to our customers. Can we move on? Here are some of our customers, and they've spread across multiple countries, doing whole bunch of things from customer origination, engagement, surveys, transactions, delivering very high quality ROI. And more interestingly, engaging customers on the platform where they want to see their banks to be, right? This has been a journey for us over the last 15 years. A lot of the financial institutions have worked this way with us and have been transformed in the way in which they have engaged with their customers. Right? Can we go to the next slide, please? Why is this moment so important? Very rarely in history do you come across a moment like this where transformation is moving at such a high pace, right? We all read about AI, LLMs, and a whole bunch of things shifting the way customer experience is going to move. But we are at a point where, the mobile era is completely driven to a conversational era where everything that you speak, write, can be used as a tool and an input to make greater customer engagement and conversations, right? And we believe that Africa is in a great place right now to, see this transformation happen. We've seen this shift happen already in Asia, and we believe the moment for Africa is now, right? Where we're seeing significant number of growth in the usage of smartphones, transition from 3G to 4G and 5G, at the same time, the adoption of, apps, and more importantly, the way the messaging era has come into play. Can we go to the next slide, please? The opportunity for businesses is to actually use this moment to leapfrog, right? The app is already there, and we know there are millions of users already on WhatsApp in Africa. But the opportunity to use that platform is now, because now you have tooling You have technology providers like us, like Gupshup, who bring the strength of enterprise technology to make your customers feel secure when they're engaging with your brand. And leapfrogging to messaging saves you a lot more by reducing your cost of acquisition, being where the customer is, and more importantly, allowing the customer to be comfortable in the interface that he's always been using, right? And that is why you see today about 2 billion users on WhatsApp alone. RCS is gaining very quickly at 800 million, and Instagram, of course, which has been used by a multitude of brands in the financial services to make very interesting use cases of customer engagement, helping them learn more about risk, especially on insurance and wealth management, and also understand how they can be using these tools to make better choices for themselves. Let's move on. The answer is obvious why messaging is going to be the next big wave in financial services. The open rates are ridiculously high, right? Customers don't have to understand the interface. The inputs are both voice and text. And pretty much with the advent of AI, LLMs, and new technologies, you could choose a language you want to make these conversations in. So it's not necessary that you would want to do this in just English, right? So technology is making a lot of these interfaces into messaging tools very easy. More interestingly, for a lot of people who just like to speak, even voice notes are gaining great traction around Middle East, Asia, and the sub-Saharan Africa area. Let's move on. If you look at Africa and sub-Saharan Africa, the penetration of WhatsApp has already is quite significant. And a lot of that has to do with the efforts the regulators and the governments are putting in, especially telecom regulators, to make sure that we have the most advanced technologies available to enable mobile commerce at greater strength. Mobile commerce has been driving Africa for a long time. But in the context of financial services, it's very important because when you move money across banks, financial institutions, across countries, across operators, you want to do that as easily as possible. And for that, there's no other channel than messaging, which provides a perfectly easy gateway to make that happen. And we can talk about some very interesting use cases of how messaging can be a layer on top of rails, which are across markets, right? Let's move on. So conversational engagement across customer life cycle is just not about, something that you saw in the USSD era, right? Here it is very rich. It delves deeply into how a customer can be engaged. So you could start with just simple things like onboarding, product discovery. You can bring a customer from, Facebook, where you're advertising, into WhatsApp and build an immediate engagement over the conversation, right? You can personalize the campaigns and you can drive results real time, where somebody says, listen, I love this, but I need to know more information. You could actually go click to chat or, go click to voice, or whichever way you would like to move the conversation to. This is important from both perspectives, from both the customer's perspective, because he's getting resolution, he's getting answers real time, and also from the perspective of a brand, because you can really measure your ROI real time. Why am I here? What am I doing? And what's my customer thinking is very important. And you get the pulse of that instantly. You can drive as many campaigns depending on how the campaigns are moving. You could choose to time your campaigns, right, across markets. So we have a whole funnel of journeys, which we do between 200 and 300 of them, most of which are out of blocks. And you will see some of them today as Sashi walks you through, which helps you go through how marketing took real commerce to banking, to payments, to buying insurance, to real-time payments for loans, and also for all of the services related to financial services can all be achieved in an interface which is very common to you, which is WhatsApp. Let's go on. So Gupshup brings you a full stack. And when we say a full stack, we mean we have very deep knowledge, understanding, connectors, understanding how data regulations work, how governments operate. When they look at how are you looking at building these platforms in this country, security, compliance, and all of that, it all comes to you in a single box. And this is something that we've invested millions of dollars in R&D every year, and we continue to do so. And something which is global, right? So today we operate in over 50 plus countries, have regulators in each of these countries have tested our solution, authorized it. We're already in Africa. Quite a few banks use our technologies in Africa, right? So, and this one single platform just connects you to everything that's already there, from SMS to WhatsApp to all the new messaging interfaces, to what potentially can come tomorrow and how it's evolving, which includes your generative AI and large language models. Let's move on. A lot of that we have simplified for you to also be building this for yourself. So when you start looking at, hey, does this technology, is it too complex for me? Is it going to be something that only big guys should be using or a high-tech company should be? No, what we have done is we have brought all these technologies into very simple do-it-yourself interfaces. At the back end, all our cool technologies, all our AI, all the special stuff that makes this entire experience look cool works without a friction. But what you see in the front end are very simple tools. Like, can we go to the next page? Like this, which is just a drag and drop bot, a story builder, where you can build your journeys yourself. Some of these technologies are so easy to use that you really don't need any programming knowledge. This is for any marketing person to use this, right? So that's how we've designed our platforms, which make it very friendly for enterprises to adopt. And there's a reason why 45,000 plus enterprises use our platform, because it's very simple. Why 10 billion customers engage on our platform? Because it's very easy to talk to it, very simple to understand what the process is. Right? So these are some of the things that we've built completely, for a modern world. And we think a lot of these things are very appropriate and, more, timely for markets like Africa at this point in time. Let's go on. And we do have the latest technologies like, building generative AI linked solutions. And this is very useful in the context of how customers interact with financial brands. Today, in your call centers, you receive millions of queries, people asking, hey, how does this product work? I have this problem, I have that problem. What if you had a simple, intelligent, highly smart bot which sat on your website, which sat in WhatsApp, which is answering all these questions and bringing information from your knowledge bases, bringing information from your websites, but bringing information from the regulator also to answer the customer's question, right, in any language that they would like to converse. Some of these things are today possible thanks to the power of the Gupshup, Autobot Builder, which is our pre-trained, platform for generative AI, which comes with very strong guardrails. It does not allow, data to hallucinate. It allows you to manage how much you want to use the data for, and also where should it be looking for data. Right? So it's enterprise ready. It's already been deployed by leading governments, banks, things and completely tested across multiple markets. So these are things that we want to bring into Africa right now to give you a cutting advantage in your markets as you operate and make it very easy for customers, right? Can we go to the next slide? And using tools on top of this, which are personalized campaign managers, you can actually make the experience so real for your customers that they can actually feel that, the brand is really doing its best to make it interesting for me to buy their products. Some of these technologies are today driving the biggest brands in the world that you saw in one of my earlier slides, right? And the kind of ROIs these brands have been driving has been spectacular, far higher than what they were driving on their own apps. So in a lot of markets that we work, we are now seeing a huge transition for brands to think outside the app and think of what is the art of possible on WhatsApp or RCS. And that's what Gupshup is very excited to bring into Africa. That's a promise that we will make your brand very relevant to your audience. And over the next few slides, my colleague Sashi will guide you through some wonderful examples of how these things work.
Thank you very much, Ravi, for the insights, especially on how WhatsApp business messaging is a much needed channel for fintechs in Africa. Now we'll be handing over to Shashi, who will be sharing some successful, easy to implement use cases that are working for fintechs across the globe. Shashi, over to you.
Hey, Mark. Thanks, Mark. And thank you, Ravi, for a very insightful information that you shared with us. Now, after Ravi shared the merits of the platform, easy to use platform, easy to access. So the obvious question that everybody has in the mind is, okay, what is there in it for me? How can I use it? So there are tons and tons of use cases, but we'll speak about some of the most common ones that we've come across. Let's just do the next slide, please. All right. Previous. All right. Yes. So I think, irrespective of what business you are in, you're spending tons and tons of marketing dollars to be seen in the market, to be visible, to stay ahead of your competition. And I think it's everybody's concern to see and to make sure that every single marketing dollar that you're spending, is worth its while. Now, we've been spending, our marketers have been spending a lot of marketing dollars on social media campaigns, on digital media campaigns, without knowing what is this campaign really delivering. So a solution that we have here is called Click to WhatsApp. When a user sees any social media campaign, they can just click on it, and there is an immediate chat window in WhatsApp that opens, and the user can have a conversation with the brand. So much so that you can actually close a transaction on in that conversation itself. Next slide. Here's an example from Unifin, where they are advertising on the digital media, social media, and they deploy Click to WhatsApp. And as a result, there is 300% growth in the qualified leads. 67% of the conversations are completed in WhatsApp. And in the first 15 days, there are about 500 WhatsApp conversations that they could complete. Yeah, next slide. Yeah. So, after the lead generation, after the activations, etc., the next thing that comes is the process, is the operations. Traditionally, I think most financial companies have been involving agencies to do this groundwork, to complete the applications, to onboard the customer. How about you be able to complete that in a WhatsApp conversation? So here's a clear example of a loan or a credit company where the application can be submitted, uploaded in a WhatsApp chat, and the whole valuation, verification, and onboarding can be completed in the same very chat. Yeah. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah. So here's the example. Here's the success story. Now, this is a lending company, where they're giving loans, or they're offering loans to their customers, and they have used WhatsApp chat. As a result, 400% growth in the completion rate. 46% of the loan applications were completed in a single conversation, and about 250% increase in the verified sale. So I think the results are very obvious, because here is a case where the conversation is real time. It's not a one-way communication. It is not broadcasting of message. It is the brand and the users are conversing on a channel which is a favorite channel for most users in that part of the world. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, I mean, you see, banking has been, traditionally banking has been people going to bank, people going to ATM. Later, I think in the next stage, banks started reaching out to users and banks started going to your home, okay, with the relationship manager visiting you, etc. In the more recent times, banks started deploying the mobile apps, because banks also have more and more users, growing users, and one of the goal is to minimize the person-to-person contact or people visiting the branch. So they thought that mobile app was the solution to all their problems, and it actually was, with one exception that they found it extremely difficult to get people to download the apps. Now, in this particular example, as you see, we are giving you a mobile app-like experience in an app which is on everybody's phone. So the user doesn't have to download any app, and the user can still have the same mobile app experience in WhatsApp. Okay, let's just go to the success story. Next slide. Here it is. So Kotak Bank, one of the leading private banks in India. You see the numbers. These numbers are mind-blowing. 100 million customer interactions, 94% NLU accuracy, and over 1 million monthly users. So imagine 1 million people are banking over WhatsApp, not having to visit a bank branch. The bank relationship manager is not visiting them. Nobody is meeting anybody, and still 1 million users can complete a banking transaction. And these transactions can have multiple cases like their account balance inquiries, the repayment summaries, activation or deactivation of cards, fund transfers, applying for loans, etc., etc. Next slide, please. Yes. So collection is one of the key functions that every bank or financial institution has. Traditionally, like I said, they've been hiring various agencies, recovery agencies, collection agencies who will go to the customer, remind them of their payment, and then various other, broadcasting or communication mechanisms were deployed, like calling people, recorded calls being sent to people, SMS. But there's no real call for action. Now, what we are offering over here is that you send a payment reminder to people on the day of payment with a clear actionable. So the keyword here is the actionable payment reminder, because sometimes you're sitting in a meeting, you receive a call, you may or may not receive it. Even if you receive it, somebody says, "Oh, your payment is due today." By the time you finish your meeting, that's gone out of your mind. Now here is a message that sits in your inbox unless you take an action on it. So the actionable payment reminder, where people can click a link, the link takes you to the real payment gateway. You can make the payment and finish the job. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is an example of another, I think, insurance company, HDFC Life, where the payment journey was deployed on WhatsApp, and here are the results. About 3.4%, 3.6% conversation rate, which is very, very high. If you ask me, if 100 people received a payment reminder and 4 people or 3.5 people ended up making a payment, that's a phenomenally good success rate. The cost incurred here is just less than 15 cents for each payment, for each conversion. 50% increase in the click to payment ratio. So these are some of the results which go on to show that if you have the right channel of communication, and if the channel of communication is interactive enough and real time, and if you are reaching people on the choice of their on the channel of their choice, the results are bound to be in your favor. Next slide, please. Yeah, again, so customer success, not just financial business, for any business, customer success is a very, very important aspect of business. Again, for over 20 years, the only way the users could reach out to business was a contact center, right? And everybody has some or the other experiences of a contact center, and nobody can really vouch that 100% of their experiences were the best experiences. People hate to be in the queue. People hate to interact with IVRs. Now, what's this? And then again, look at the cost aspect of setting up a contact center, and then the cost of each conversation between the live agent and the customer. So, what's the solution? If we give you the same experience over WhatsApp, where users could reach out to a bank or an insurance company or a loan company, raise their concerns, and if, let's say, a large majority or 80% of their concerns are addressed over WhatsApp, that reduces the burden on your call center, that reduces cost, and that makes the customer the customer satisfaction way higher than what it was traditionally. All right, next slide. Okay, so here's an example or a success story from SBI. This is State Bank of India, the largest government bank in India. Okay, and so they deployed WhatsApp service as a customer support helpline. The results are here in front of you. 2.3x increase in the user engagement, 47% reduction in the support calls, which means the burden or the call traffic on your call center is reduced by about half, and 1.8 times policy renewal payments on WhatsApp alone. So if I summarize, what the use cases that we've done so far, it increases efficiency, it reduces cost, and it makes the conversation with the financial institution that much easy. So ease of access, efficiency, cost reduction. These are the three main takeaways. Next. Yes, KYC. So know your customer. Again, there are two aspects to this. Number one, for any business, it's very important to know your customer. Secondly, there are some statutory compliance issues which make it mandatory for financial institutions like banks and insurance and loan companies to know their customer. Okay, whatever be the reason, whatever be your driver, whether it is the need of your business or the compliance, but you need to have KYC. And KYC has turned out to be quite a pain, because while it is a priority for the bank or for a financial institute, it not always is a priority for the user. So again, banks or insurance companies or mortgage banks have to deploy agencies to collect the KYC and complete KYC, and it's a time-consuming process. It has a lot of expenses. Now, if we improve the efficiency by bringing it on WhatsApp and making it convenient for people to upload all the KYC documents on a WhatsApp window and finish of nothing like that. No better way of completing the KYC process. No human interaction, nobody reaching out to anyone, nobody reminding anyone, just a simple message giving the list of documents. The person uploads the documents on a WhatsApp window. That's it. Next slide, please. Yeah. So here the keyword is personalized. Okay. You ask any marketer and they will tell you that the broadcasts have not been working anymore. There was a time when we used to have broadcast messages through televisions, radios, billboards, even SMS, which is same message for everyone. But customer today just hates it, because they say, okay, you can't just treat me like a crowd. Okay, I am a different person. I am a different individual. My requirements are different. If you don't know me, if you don't know what I need, forget about it. Then you're spamming me. But if the messaging or the marketing messaging that comes to me is personalized. It knows, what I need and how I need. I am in all likeliness, I'm going to be more receptive to that message. So to change spamming into the effective marketing message, the keyword here is the personalized offers. And that's what we could use by giving you the strength of a conversational commerce and the power of AI. Next slide, please. The product and service information. So it's a re-engagement mechanism. Every business has a set of customers. You have the database of your customers, and you need to keep, updating them, informing them about the new products and services. If there is a new service that you think a particular user will be interested, and then again, you want to automate it. You do not want to make it you don't want to make it like a broadcast. You want to automate it depending on the customer's choices and preferences. So all of these things, I think, like I said, we can go on and on and on with use cases, and different customers also come across with different expectations and different suggestions. The good thing about our platform is that it is customizable to the requirements of a region, to the requirement of a business, to the requirement of a customer. Okay, so there's nothing written in stone that it can't be changed. So let's say Kotak Bank had a certain journey. If a bank in Africa wants to customize it to meet the requirements and preferences of their customers, I think Ravi also mentioned about the ease of customizing your own customer journey. Just drag and drop and you're all set. So here we are. I think that's all from me, Mark. Maybe we could move to the next section, please.
Great. Thank you very much, Shashi. That was some really interesting insights and use cases that you've shared. Now what we are going to do, now that we've set the context on how WhatsApp business messaging works and its major use cases for fintech, let's jump onto a fireside chat to discuss this in more detail. Over to you, Shashi and Ravi.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Thanks again. So Ravi, I think you've shared a lot of information already. But in my experience of meeting with a lot of bankers and financial institutions in Africa, there's one question that always comes to me, and that's around the security aspects of WhatsApp. Because banking is a serious business, they do value security of data, that they value security of their data security of their customers. So how secure is WhatsApp banking? Let's just begin with that, please.
Great question, Shashi, and thank you for that one. I do think that it's just not about WhatsApp. We need to look at the whole funnel of engagement, right? It's from the bank systems. It's from the moment it leaves, the consumer enters the bank. How does it work, right? So the process actually has been very well oiled over the last 5-7 years, as I've seen it. And today we understand that the encryption standards are very strong as far as WhatsApp is concerned. They are SOC 2 compliant. And that pretty much puts a whole bunch of security levels that are not normally also available in most banks. So I would say a lot of WhatsApp security is higher than where bank traffic is today, all right? And you also know that Gupshup is a SOC 2 compliant company. And so what we're trying to do is to, make sure that the security and the information that is moving between the consumer and, of course, the bank is at a level which is worthy of being recognized as a proper financial transaction by both the bank and the regulator in every market. And so far, we've been fairly, diligent about this. We've invested a lot of dollars into this. But more importantly, a lot of regulators in various markets have seen this as a fairly robust process. So I would think that we've reached a level of sophistication where this is great to go for any market in the world. And I think Africa is ready for it.
Thank you. Thanks, Ravi. And one very common thing that I have seen during my visits in Africa is that every major financial institution, all banks included, everybody has a USSD code.
Yeah.
Okay. So USSD codes are being used very, very extensively. In the recent years, quite a few of them have also invested in mobile apps. And now, of course, we are talking about conversational banking or, very roughly speaking, let's say WhatsApp banking. So how this conversational banking different from USSD and mobile app, and how and what more additional benefits is it going to bring for the banks and also for the users?
A great question again. And I think there are a couple of things that are at play at this point in time. And I seriously get excited when I hear such questions, because there's a moment for Africa, and I think the time is now, because Africa took a great leap and lead in person-to-person payments over mobile, and then made it person to merchant, right? And today you see M-Pesa and a whole bunch of other payment solution, MTN, money transfers, and a whole bunch of things, fairly pervasive and rudimentary, everywhere, right? And there's a reason for it. The reason for that is it was secure, it happened real time, and people trusted it. And the mobile operators made sure that they gave the entire infrastructure in play. I don't think a technology like USSD can do more than what it's doing today. It's kind of reached its plateau of growth. We also should look at the aspirations of our users on the telecom side, people who hold a cell phone, and we're seeing a rapid change in Africa. We've got about 613 million mobile phones subscribers anticipated towards 2025. We're also seeing 41 million kind of 5G connections to be established, right? And the more important thing is a transition happening between 3G, 4G, and 5G at this point in various markets. What all of this is going to lead to is going to lead to what GSMA anticipates is about 150 billion economy around mobile commerce. Now, that is something that is going to excite both operators and banks, because if you're saying that's going to be the size of the economy that's going to go through mobile commerce, two things need to happen. One, the technology should be available to make that commerce happen. And that's not USSD. It's not going to happen, right? So this is the moment, right, for Africa to jump away from apps, away from websites, and go straight to WhatsApp, Instagram, RCS. You suddenly will see the richness that you can deliver to consumers who are already on these mediums, right? Give them an opportunity to conduct commerce and play a significant role in moving that money across borders, within cities, within merchants, within friends, in a manner which is so seamless that it can actually improve financial inclusion in a far higher way than the way USSD has done till now, right? And this is not a model that is going to be unique to Africa. If you look at most of Asia, this is exactly how it has leapfrogged. I mean, in India, we as Gupshup itself deal with close to 500 million monthly active users. So, that is pretty much going to be the entire mobile population of entire Africa. So you can see that human behavior has evolved very fast to things which are easy and give more value and richness to the interaction. So I do think that adoption is just a function of making the technology available. We are in the right place, right time. It should be useful for all the financial institutions and even telecom operators to talk to us right now, because now is the time, right? And if you're not going to do it, somebody else is going to disrupt this market. And that's what you really want to make sure, that you hold on to your customer experience, you hold on to your customers, and make sure you grow that pie that you hold today.
Fantastic. So I think if you were to summarize, okay, what are the major trends you see emerging around this conversational banking in Africa, and particularly in more specifically in sub-Saharan Africa?
Right. I think, firstly, the telecom investments are going up quite rapidly. And the price of smartphones is dropping equally rapidly. Both these put together and the licenses that are going to go out for 4G and 5G in multiple markets are going to drive a data-driven economy. When data drives economy more than voice, we've seen spectacular things happen to economies. And the biggest beneficiary of all of this is going to be financial services. Banking, insurance, payments, you've got too many options right now. But banking and insurance and doing those things which you couldn't imagine you could do on a phone was somebody who is not an expert in operating apps. Now you have an opportunity to make that smooth. So I do think digital banking will grow between 10 to 20x very rapidly, and digital finance will grow even faster outside banking to more in insurance and finance opportunities, especially on lending. It's just going to take off. And the people who are going to ride this wave are going to be very interesting. I mean, it's going to be banks, but I do think this disruption is going to come from telecom operators. This is going to come from intermediaries. It's going to come from big store brands, right? For example, you could have a buy now, pay later option launched by a very large supermarket with its own financing arm to make these things happen, right? So it is a very transformative moment right now. And I do think that everything is in place, actually. It's very rare that you see so many things fall in play for sub-Saharan Africa.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's about time that I think it's almost like the plane is on the runway. It's about to take off. But thank you very much, Ravi. Thanks for all your insights.
You're welcome.
Mark, I think we can take questions from the audience if we have any.
Yes, thanks, Ravi and Shashi. That was a really interesting conversation. We'll just be monitoring the chat now to see if there are any questions from the audience. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat box and we'll take them one by one. Great. Okay. So we've got one question to you, Ravi and Shashi, from Chukwuwenye Junior. They have asked, how do those that only use audio messages to communicate on WhatsApp leverage the Gupshup solution in Africa?
Can I take that, Shashi?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Oh, it's fascinating, actually. It's a great question. And we found this as a very interesting trend, and which is across Asia. People like to talk, but they want to send that talk as a message and like to hear it back as a message because it feels very personalized, right? So I could send a message to mom to say, hey, mom, I'm doing okay, and send the audio file. And mom could listen back to say, oh, I'm also fine too, and I'd like to listen message. But what if you could voice message your brand to say, hey, what's my balance in my account, right? And that message as an audio note went to the brand, and the brand said, okay, this is this customer, I see the mobile number, I'd like to know more. The brand sends a back message, which is a voice note, says, okay, we're gonna identify you first before we give you the question. So here, can you send us your account number as a voice note? And I could send an account number as a voice note. And then they could say, okay, what's your PIN? And it could go 2 and 4 before you answer it, right? So there are many ways to do it. And voice notes are currently being used in many markets by bankers to enable those people who are really comfortable communicating over voice. And it's quite easy to do that on WhatsApp, actually. It's been done in multiple languages as well. It's quite fascinating how people use these technologies.
Super. Thank you, Ravi. And I don't see any other questions in the queue. So it seems as though that concludes this wonderful webinar. We'd like to extend our thanks to Shashi, to Ravi, to all the participants involved. If you have any further questions or require more information on WhatsApp business messaging for your brand or for fintech, please reach out to us at engage@gupshup.io. We thank you for your time. Goodbye.